Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Podcast with a Guest from the Past. Before we dive into today's incredible journey, please make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our future episodes. Today, we are about to embark on a truly extraordinary adventure through time. We have the privilege of welcoming a figure who shaped an entire era, a monarch synonymous with power, intellect, and resilience. I am absolutely thrilled, and frankly, a little awestruck, to introduce our guest. From the 16th century, the era known as the Golden Age of England, please welcome Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth I. Prepare yourselves for a conversation like no other, exploring her life, her reign, and her reaction to our world centuries later.
Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth I, you say? Aye, that is indeed who I am. Though how I find myself standing here in this most curious of places and times is a matter that still beggars belief. You speak of a podcast and a channel and a journey through time. Strange words, all of them. But yes, I am Elizabeth, Queen of England, Queen of France and Ireland, defender of the faith.
Your Majesty, welcome. I can only imagine how disorienting this must be, finding yourself here centuries removed from everything you knew. We are immensely honored to have you with us. As you try to make sense of this place, perhaps we could begin by looking back at the world you came from, specifically your beginnings. Your early life was, by all accounts, incredibly challenging. Born a princess, yet quickly declared illegitimate, living under the shadow of your mother's fate and navigating the dangerous reigns of your half-siblings. Could you speak about those years and how they shaped the woman and the ruler you became?
Aye, disorienting is a gentle word for this marvel. It feels as if the very fabric of God's creation has been rent asunder to bring me here. But your words, Master Arthur, they speak of a truth I know all too well. My beginnings were indeed fraught with peril. To be born a king's daughter, then stripped of that standing, cast out, and forced to live by the unpredictable winds of royal favour and disfavour. It was a harsh schoolroom. The shadow of my mother's fate was a constant companion, a grim reminder of how quickly fortune can turn. Living under the reigns of my brother and sister, navigating the treacherous waters of court politics, facing accusations and even imprisonment in the Tower. These were years that taught me patience, caution, and the necessity of keeping one's own counsel. They stripped away any illusions of inherent security and forged a resolve within me. I learned to read people, to trust sparingly, and to rely on my own wit and strength. These trials, though bitter at the time, were perhaps the crucible in which the metal of my spirit was hardened for the crown I would eventually wear.
Your Majesty, that is a truly profound account of resilience. It's clear those years forged a leader ready to face immense challenges. You ascended to the throne in 1558, inheriting a kingdom deeply divided by religious strife, burdened by debt, and facing external threats. What were your immediate priorities upon becoming queen, and how did you approach the monumental task of stabilizing England?
Aye, Master Arthur, the state of England upon my ascent was indeed perilous. A fractured realm, torn by the bitter winds of religious discord, the coffers nigh empty, and powerful neighbours like Spain and France ever watchful, like wolves circling a wounded stag. My immediate priorities were clear. First, to heal the divisions within the Church of England and forge a settlement that could bring peace to men's souls, or at least their public worship. This required great care, finding a middle path that satisfied neither extreme, but allowed most to live within its bounds. Second, to restore the crown's finances. A monarch cannot rule effectively nor defend her realm if she is beholden to creditors. And third, to secure England against foreign threats, which meant treading a careful path of diplomacy whilst building our strength. My approach was one of pragmatism and patience. I sought wise counsel, listened more than I spoke in the early days, and made my decisions based on what I believed was best for the stability and prosperity of my people, not swayed by the fervent demands of one faction or another. It was a matter of steadying a ship caught in a tempest.
Your Majesty, that pragmatic approach clearly served England well in those early years. One of the most consistent pressures you faced throughout your long reign was the expectation that you would marry and secure the succession. This was a matter of intense political debate and foreign interest. Could you speak about the burden of that expectation, the reasons behind your famous decision to remain unmarried, and how you navigated the immense political complexities that arose from being the Virgin Queen?
Marriage and the heir. A matter that seemed to consume the minds of my court, my council, and indeed all of Europe. The pressure, Master Arthur, was immense, a constant hum beneath the surface of every political discussion. From my ascension, suitors arrived from every corner of the continent, each marriage proposal a tangle of alliances, potential power shifts, and religious implications. To marry a foreign prince risked subjugating England to another power's will. To marry an English noble risked elevating one faction above all others, breeding jealousy and potential rebellion. The expectation was heavy, yet the pitfalls of every potential union were equally weighty. My decision to remain unmarried was not born of a dislike for the state of matrimony itself, but of a profound belief that my first and truest marriage was to the realm of England and its people. By remaining single, I could avoid dangerous foreign entanglements through alliance marriages, maintain control over my own policy without the influence of a husband's family, and appear as a figurehead above the factional squabbles within my own court. I became the Virgin Queen, a symbol perhaps, but one that allowed me a unique position of strength. It required constant vigilance, of course, navigating the dashed hopes of suitors and the anxieties of those who feared for the succession. But it was, I believe, a path that allowed me to serve England without the constraints a husband would have inevitably imposed.
Your Majesty, that perspective on your marriage to England is incredibly powerful, explaining so much about your approach to leadership. Speaking of threats and securing the realm, your reign was marked by constant danger, none perhaps as dramatic as the looming power of Spain under King Philip II. The rivalry between your two kingdoms, fueled by religion, politics, and ambition, ultimately led to the attempted invasion by the Spanish Armada in 1588. Could you describe the atmosphere in England as this massive fleet sailed towards your shores and the monumental effort to repel it?
The Spanish Armada, 1588. That was a time when every soul in England held their breath. The Invincible Armada, they called it, a fleet so vast it seemed to darken the very sea. Fear? There was fear, Master Arthur, for the threat was real and terrible. Philip of Spain sought to conquer my realm, to crush our faith and bring us under his yoke. But with that fear came a burning resolve. My people, from noble to commoner, stood ready. Men flocked to the colours, the gentry fitted out ships, and the beacons blazed across the land, a warning and a defiance. I myself went among my troops at Tilbury, a woman with the heart and stomach of a king, and a king of England too. We knew we faced a mighty foe, but we had stout hearts, nimble ships, and the skill of sailors forged in harsh waters. We harried them with our smaller, faster vessels, using fire and cunning, and God, it seems, blew with us as well, scattering their mighty fleet with storms. It was a deliverance, a moment when England stood against the greatest power in Europe and did not break. A time I shall never forget, nor will England.
Your Majesty, the victory against the Armada was undoubtedly a defining moment, securing England's independence. However, throughout your reign, you also faced significant internal threats, perhaps none as persistent or complex as that posed by your cousin, Mary, Queen of Scots. Her presence in England, the plots surrounding her, and her claim to your throne created an incredibly difficult situation. Could you speak about the long shadow Mary cast over your reign and the immense pressure you faced regarding her fate, leading ultimately to the most difficult decision of your life?
Ah, yes, Master Arthur. The poets, the players, the men who sailed to the world's end. It warms my heart to think that their words and deeds are still spoken of. This flowering of creativity and ambition was, I believe, a natural consequence of the stability and confidence we fought so hard to achieve. When a realm is secure, when its people are not consumed by fear of invasion or civil war, their spirits are free to soar in other directions. I saw these endeavours not merely as entertainment or grand adventure, but as vital sinews of the realm. The playwrights and poets helped to shape a sense of English identity, of our history and our spirit, binding us together. The explorers, they sought new lands, new trade routes, new wealth for England, expanding our reach and our knowledge. The Crown's role was varied. At times it was direct patronage, supporting players and poets, sponsoring voyages of discovery. At other times, it was simply providing the framework of peace and law within which such talents could flourish. And, truth be told, the Crown benefited greatly. The plays celebrated our history and our values. The explorations brought back riches and enhanced England's standing in the world. It was a time when England began truly to know itself and to make itself known to others. A glorious thing to behold.
Your Majesty, thank you for sharing that perspective on the cultural and exploratory achievements of your time. Looking back now, over 400 years later, your reign is indeed celebrated, often held up as a pivotal era in English history. Given everything you faced and accomplished, stabilizing the realm, navigating immense political and religious turmoil, defending against powerful enemies, and overseeing a flourishing of arts and exploration, how do you feel history views your reign now, from the distance of centuries?
History's view, you ask, from the mists of 400 years? It is remarkable to hear. One does not rule with the thought of how future ages will judge every decision. One simply strives to do what is right, what is necessary, for the safety and prosperity of one's people and one's realm. To hear that my reign is called a golden age, it is a great and humbling thing. It suggests that the foundations we laid, the storms we weathered, the peace we forged from conflict, held firm. That the struggles and the sacrifices, the difficult choices made, were not in vain. My aim was ever to be a good shepherd to my flock, to keep England whole and safe, and to serve God and my conscience. If history sees a time of flourishing, of strength, of identity forged, then perhaps I did not fail entirely in that duty. It is the greatest honour, Master Arthur, to be remembered as a queen who loved her people and her country above all else, and who, with God's grace, guided them through perilous waters to a place of strength.
Your Majesty, that is a truly powerful reflection on a reign that undeniably left an indelible mark on history. Hearing you speak of guiding England, keeping it whole and safe, resonates deeply, especially given the challenges you faced. It prompts a question about leadership itself. You ruled through a period of immense change, technological shifts, albeit of a different kind than ours, political upheaval, and global exploration. As you stand here now, looking at our world, centuries removed from your own, What are your initial impressions of the challenges facing leaders today, and how do they compare to the burdens you carried?
Ah, Master Arthur, the challenges of leadership. You speak of change, upheaval, exploration. Yes, my own reign knew such things, though the technological shifts of your time are, I confess, a wonder I scarce comprehend. Looking upon your world, the burdens seem different, yet perhaps the heart of them remains the same. You speak of political upheaval. We knew that well, the constant struggle for power, the threat of rebellion, the clash of faiths that tore at the very soul of the realm. Is your upheaval one of divided beliefs, or something else? Your global exploration has surely gone far beyond our own ventures, yet does it not still bring rivalry, new threats from afar, and the need to defend one's interests? The fundamental task, I suspect, is timeless: to discern the true path for your people, to weigh conflicting counsel, to stand firm against threats both seen and unseen, and to keep the realm from tearing itself apart. My burdens were heavy: the constant threat of invasion, the poisoned chalice of succession, the need to manage proud and ambitious men who circled like falcons. Perhaps your leaders face different foes, not fleets of ships, but whispers carried by unseen means. Not papists and Protestants at open war, but divisions of another nature. The tools of governance may have changed vastly, these strange devices you all carry and speak into. But the need for wisdom, for resilience, and for a deep, unwavering commitment to the well-being of one's people. That, Master Arthur, I believe, must remain the constant burden of any who would lead.
Your Majesty, thank you for offering that profound perspective on leadership, both in your time and ours. Standing here now, having seen the world centuries after your reign, is there a final message, perhaps a piece of advice you would offer, or a lasting thought you wish to share about your life, your reign, or the world you now glimpse?
A final message, you ask, from one who has stepped, it seems, across the bounds of time? It is a question that gives one pause, Master Arthur. To have lived a life bound by the rhythms of season and prayer, of ships and swords, and now to glimpse a world shaped by wonders that feel like sorcery. Yet, seeing this time, with its own clamour and concerns, I am struck by this thought, that whilst the raiment of the world changes, the heart of humanity, its struggles, its hopes, its follies, perhaps remains much the same. Leaders still bear the heavy charge of guiding their people, of seeking peace amidst discord, of guarding against threats. My advice, then, forged in the crucible of my own reign, would be this: know your people, trust sparingly, but wisely. Listen to counsel, but make your own judgment. Stand firm in your faith, whatever it may be, and love your realm, your country, your people, above all else, for it is their well-being, their safety, their prosperity, that is the true measure of a ruler. And though your world is strange to me, filled with light and noise and swift travel, I pray that those who lead it remember the simple, enduring truth: that duty to one's people is the highest calling. Farewell, Master Arthur. This journey has been illuminating.
Your Majesty, thank you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your experiences, and your unparalleled perspective on a reign that continues to fascinate and inspire. It has been an extraordinary honor to welcome you to Podcast with Guest from the Past. Your insights into leadership, resilience, and duty are truly timeless. And to our listeners, what an incredible journey we have just taken. To hear directly from Queen Elizabeth I has been an experience I will certainly never forget. Thank you for joining us on this remarkable episode. Remember to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next guest from history. Until then, I'm Arthur, and this has been Podcast with Guest from the Past.